One of the best things that can happen to you, bro, is for God to open your script to you and tell you, see what I want to do with your life. Before you were born, I sanctified you, I ordained you a prophet to the nations. First thing that is the core and the anchor for understanding destiny is that God is sovereign. Somebody say, God is sovereign.
God is sovereign.
Do you know what it means by God is sovereign? It means that God is the one that predetermines what he will make you. God, he's sovereign. So he can choose whatsoever it is that he wants to make you. He's sovereign. He's sovereign. God is sovereign and determines our destiny. God predetermines our destiny even before we were formed in our mother's womb. He predetermines our destiny. So, it is God that determines exactly what your contribution will be in the visible realm. God. And you need to understand, when we speak about the sovereignty of God, you cannot question it. He is God. In fact, in the book of Romans, Paul was the one saying to us that the clay cannot begin to ask the potter, why did you make me like this? You don't have that locus. The potter can choose. Paul was saying that he can choose to make a vessel that will be a vessel of honor, and he can choose to make a vessel that will be a vessel of dishonor. And the clay cannot come and say, why you make me like this? He is sovereign. So God can choose that with all your intelligence and your intellect, you are a high flyer in school, and your parents' dream for you is that you'll be a mechatronics engineer, and God says you are going to be a teacher in the classroom. So you graduate with first class physics. Meanwhile, God will try to interrupt you. He will begin to make movements upon your heart because you have come into light. You have come into the knowledge of Jesus Christ. He will begin to put pressure on your heart that I want to do something with your life. But because your desires and your appetites have not been conquered, every time that voice comes, you will shut it down. Then you go and do masters. The day we come for your convocation in masters, you won all the awards. Distinction, best graduating student, best postgraduate student. They give you all the placards. You don't even have a hand to hold it. You hold it and you smile for guy. Meanwhile, every step you are taking further, you are wasting time. And then you now start pursuing how to travel abroad, because your idea is that you want to break the back of poverty. Meanwhile, God in his sovereignty and his wisdom has ordained that you will be a teacher in Zamfara Girls Secondary School. The way you are laughing, some people are saying, God forbid. Not be only me, nine God need. We many. Meanwhile, that is what was written concern. It was written, it has been scripted. And because God is sovereign, he predetermined it even before you were born. Because what God does is, he doesn't give men assignments emotionally. He sends men where he needs them. So every time God puts a burden on your life, that burden is consequent upon his predetermined need. So every time you are outside of God's will for your life, invariably what you are saying to God to his face is, I don't want what you want for me. I feel I have better knowledge to rule my own life. So you are spiting God to his face. He is sovereign. He doesn't choose on the basis of looks. He doesn't choose on the basis of the family you were born into. He doesn't choose on the basis of your educational qualification. He is sovereign. Before you were born in the womb, before you were formed in the womb, he had ordained. What does this scripture mean? Because someone shared a video with me, one of our pastors, his heart broken. So which kind of thing be this one again? One preacher was using this scripture to say that what this scripture means is that you have lived before. That in fact, some of you don't know. You know that young people will like frivolous, exciting things. He says some of you don't know that before you came into the earth, you existed before. And people were saying, He says some of you were commanders of angelic armies. I can imagine how some people flew out of the window. You've not heard some motivational talk. They said there was a guy that if he talks motivation to you, you will tear your shirt. He said you, before you were born, that you were a captain of angelic armies. You existed in a certain form and shape. Fallacy, falsehood. What this scripture is saying is that God is sovereign. That even before you existed at all, in your mother's womb, God had already predetermined your expression in the earth. I taught you what it means when he said, I sanctified you, I separated you. I prepared you to be a prophet. What God was doing here was just showing Jeremiah his destiny. It was not an indication of the fact that Jeremiah had been something in the realm of God before. He was just telling him that this is your possibility. The reason he brought that light to Jeremiah was so that Jeremiah can accurately discern his existence in the earth. One of the best things that can happen to you, bro, is for God to open your script to you and tell you, see what I want to do with your life. It saves you disaster.